Do the Warriors even like Steph Curry? Because you could have fooled me. At this very moment, Steph is 38 years old. Not like somebody who's getting up there in age or nearing the end of his prime. He's been there for a while now, and somehow he's still averaging 26 points a night, still the best shooter alive in the world, and still the single biggest reason the Golden State Warriors are even relevant at all. And this summer, when nearly every single team in the league went out and got somebody, like the Lakers went all in for Walker Kessler, the 76ers landed Jaylen Brown and LeBron James, and the Miami Heat traded for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And while all of this was going on, the Warriors did something unbelievable. There's been this super viral graphic going around showing all 30 teams in every single edition they've made this offseason, and I want you to take a good look at this thing and tell me if you notice anything. Yeah, that's right. Golden State is the only team to have signed absolutely nobody. At least nothing new from the outside. Not a single free agent or a single trade this offseason. So I wanted to figure out what's going on and why is this happening? Is this just another bad offseason? Is this just bad asset management? Bad luck? Or is there something deeper going on here? Do the Golden State Warriors secretly hate Steph Curry? I don't know, but the evidence kind of points to yes. I want to start with this offseason because coming into it, it was pretty obvious what the Warriors needed to do. I mean, Curry isn't getting any younger. Jimmy Butler tore his ACL in January, and the whole season pretty much fell apart from there. They ended up finishing sub 500 for the first time in a long time, and they got bounced immediately in the play-ins. And every single person knew that if there was a time for the Warriors to go all in and give Steph one last hoorah, it would be this offseason. And for about a week, it low-key looked like they might. The Warriors were being talked up as one of the serious teams left in the running for LeBron James and even possibly getting Anthony Davis. Steph even went out of his way to make a pitch to LeBron at a golf tournament and said that if LeBron wanted to play good basketball and be around people who know how to play the game, the Bay was the spot to pick. And then LeBron signed with Philly. So what did the Warriors actually do? Well, they signed their own free agents. First off was the injury-prone Kristaps Porzingis, who re-signed for 2 years and about $40 million. And then they made sure to get back the older Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton. Now, there was some hope because Draymond Green did decline his player option in order to get LeBron to join, but when that didn't work, they just re-signed him for the same exact amount. So yeah, the Warriors pretty much decided that the best move was to run it back. And don't get me wrong, re-signing your old guys isn't necessarily a bad thing, but that's usually if your team has already proven to be pretty elite. Like, yeah, I do believe if the Warriors were healthy last season, then they probably would have made it to the playoffs. But there's no way they would have gotten further than a second round exit. And to not add anything at all this offseason is what should be making the Warriors fans angry. Like, this was one of the craziest off seasons in recent memory. Giannis got moved, Jaylen Brown got moved, Kawhi Leonard got moved, kinda. And even LeBron James left the Lakers to join the 76ers. While the Warriors just sat in that chair in the corner and watched quietly. And you might think that this was just a one-time thing because, hey, they got unlucky and just struck out. I mean, you can't really force anyone to join your team, right? But it's not just this summer. This is something that just keeps happening pretty much ever since they won in 2022. First, there was Kevin Durant. Again, where apparently there was a real deal that would have sent Jimmy Butler to Phoenix as part of the package, but Kevin Durant came out and said no thanks and made sure that everyone knew it had absolutely nothing to do with Draymond Green. But we all know it's because of Draymond. They also went pretty hard for Giannis Antetokounmpo, which they've been trying for years to team up with Steph. This offseason, they tried again by offering up 4 first-rounders, but like always, they came up short and Miami ended up winning the Giannis race. And then there's also Kawhi Leonard. Same story, but different star. They've been pretty aggressive in going after him ever since this past season, but Steve Ballmer wasn't interested at all and instead sent him out of the country to the Toronto Raptors, leaving Golden State once again holding absolutely nothing. Now, this might actually age like milk because apparently there are reports that the aspiration investigation might not be resolved until next year, which means that Kawhi Leonard might still be a Clipper. And I don't know how that's going to work because Rui Hachimura signed, and I'm pretty sure that puts them over the cap. So there is a chance that they might finally get their guy. But I wouldn't count on it. Now, that's just the superstars, which is a little bit more understandable since they're a lot harder to get, but they also missed out on a whole lot of all-star talent. In 2024, Golden State was in real conversations with Toronto to get Pascal Siakam, but as you know, that didn't work out, and now Siakam is averaging 24-6 for a Pacers team that almost won the championship last year. In 2023, Golden State pushed hard for OG Anunoby, and Toronto was actually down, but they just wanted one person, Jonathan Kuminga, which ultimately became the deal breaker for Golden State. And now they got to watch him win a championship with the Knicks, having made quite possibly the greatest tip-in of all time.
Gets it, fires up a three. Shot no good. The tip, it's gone! It's gone! It's gone!
Lauri Markkanen is also someone they've been pursuing for a couple of years now. Utah wanted a package built around Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, and a bunch of picks. And Draymond Green said no. Seriously, he literally just said no. And then 2 years later, they traded Jonathan Kuminga, the exact player they fought so hard to keep, for Kristaps Porzingis, who, when factoring in injuries, isn't even close to some of the players that they could have had. I mean, just look at that list of players. We got LeBron James, Giannis, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, Siakam, Lauri Markkanen, Anunoby, and I didn't even talk about these two, but there's also Paul George and Damian Lillard. That's 9 different stars that they chased across these last 4 years. And you're telling me that at the end of the day, you get Jimmy Butler? So what's actually going on here? Well, it's a phrase that will probably haunt this organization for the rest of its life. 2 timelines. And just a quick recap for anyone who doesn't know, for the last couple of years, the working theory around the Warriors was that they were quietly running 2 plans at once. In one timeline, it was win now with Curry, Draymond, and whoever else is left from the dynasty core. And in timeline 2, they were gonna develop the kids. Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, so that when Curry's era eventually ends, the franchise didn't just fall off a cliff. Now, their GM Joe Lacob has publicly denied that this was ever a thing. He says that there's no such thing as the 2 timelines. There never was and still isn't and never will be. There's only one timeline, and that timeline is every year to put the best product on the floor. But in my opinion, that is just straight up a lie. Every single miss is pretty much the same story. The Warriors get to the final step of a real star trade, and then they suddenly blink because it would have meant giving up exactly the kind of young player or draft capital that's supposed to be part of the future timeline. I mean, otherwise, I think it would be pretty naive to think that all of this was just bad luck or pure coincidence. It's clearly some sort of philosophy where they keep prioritizing what happens after Steph instead of prioritizing what could happen now with him while he's still so damn good. And honestly, the saddest part is that they keep losing that bet every single year. At this point, Steph Curry isn't going to get any better. He's 38 years old. Every summer the Warriors spend protecting assets for some hypothetical post-Curry rebuild is a summer where the actual, real-life, still elite version of Steph Curry gets 1 year closer to not being good enough to build around. So every single year they decide not to do anything, they get more incentivized to just not do anything. And if it's not clear already, I obviously think that's the wrong bet. Hedging for the future only makes sense if the future you're hedging is likely to be better than what you currently have. You ever see that Family Guy skit where he's offered a choice between a boat and a mystery box, and Peter chooses the mystery box because it can be anything, even a boat? Yeah, that's pretty much the Warriors organization, where Steph Curry is the boat. But just think about it. How likely is it that you're going to find another Steph Curry? I'm not talking about another good player or a superstar even, but a Steph Curry, the greatest shooter who has ever lived, and in my opinion, the greatest point guard of all time, still playing at an all-NBA level at an age where if you're not LeBron James, you're retired. If you're lucky, and I mean really lucky, you get like 1 Steph Curry per franchise. But instead, they're just betting on a future timeline over maxing out the one they have now with a top 10 all-time player, which in my opinion is a terrible gamble. I mean, the Golden State Warriors were pretty much a forgotten franchise pre-Steph Curry, and in my opinion, after he's all done, it's probably gonna go back to being that. So you might as well do all you can when you can. Now, I will say that if there is a silver lining behind all of this, it's that they actually got a pretty good pick this year. At number 11, Golden State took Yaxel Lendeborg out of Michigan, and he low-key tore up the Summer League. He averaged about 15 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1.5 steals a game, while shooting a pretty good percentage, and ultimately led Golden State to the Summer League championship, where he walked away with both championship game MVP and overall Summer League MVP. And look, I know it's just the Summer League, but in my opinion, this wasn't nothing. He did do this competing against one of the deepest draft classes we've had in a long time. The only bad but kind of funny part is that when Lendeborg jokingly made his own pitch to LeBron James during Summer League, Draymond Green went on his podcast and just outright threatened to teach him a lesson. Yeah, I'm just as confused as you guys are. I don't get it at all, but that's just Draymond Green things. But yeah, do the Warriors secretly hate Steph Curry? Probably not. I think they just got really greedy with the 2 timelines thing, and when that didn't work, it was too late to choose the present anymore. Which sucks, because Steph Curry gave the Warriors 4 championships and honestly saved their entire franchise, and you're telling me in 4 years all they could do was get him Jimmy Butler. I know he'll probably never leave the team or anything. I imagine he wants to do the whole one career, one team thing. But damn, I would love to see Steph Curry just get one last real shot at it. And you know it's bad because that's coming from a Steph Curry hater.